So I want to give you a little bit of an insight where we're heading with the company. And we're doing this together with partners, not because we like their support for events like that. We like it because working with partners is the essential core underlying thing of social. We're working together. So we have some amazing partners helping us with this event, but those are the same partners who are making our products better, who make your implementations better, who make social real in your environment. So reach out to them, make friends with them. Those are the same people like me that believe in social. So the agenda today is all about, you want to be curious. This is my son, by the way. So I took him to coffee house, and so I asked him an interesting question on the left side, and I allowed him to eat the cake on the right side. The thing is, I want you to take 3 things home. I want to give you an update what the state of the business is, our business, your business, and the market in general. And I want to give you some insight into why social is mandatory. Only those who are social are going to survive. There is no like, should I not? It is a question of being in business or being not. And then, since this is in this survival of the social section, I'm going to fly really high. Okay? This is the moment where you can take a nap because sometimes it's a bit high. But then I go back into reality and we're talking about how to make it real. So I want to give you a full spectrum of where we're heading, and we're jumping right in. I have to say thank you. Thank you for an amazing year. 2012 was the absolute record-breaking year for NewsGator. We never had more net new customers coming on board. We never had more revenues. We never had more people on the product. And this is all because of you. You see the little slide on the left side, the graph? And I would like to say this is just copy-paste from an MBA book, but those are our real revenues. This is how things are going. And I'm happy to share this with you because you have trusted us early, and this is you've trusted the right partner. And what you see here is 2 of our friends from NewsGator, from our group, who made this event possible. So you will find those real people here in the audience, and that's who we are. We are real. You find everybody who's working here, who gives you a badge, who's helping you where you should sit, or is helping the speakers to get up the mic. This is all our people. That's what we are. We are a people business, and we believe in that. And as Walker said, I believe in social, and I want us to use the product. Actually, what he missed to mention is that Walker is in charge of our mobile product. And to be honest, our mobile product had room for improvement. And I'm going to announce today that we have a brand new series of mobile apps coming out that are awesome, thanks to Walker's work. We are the number 1 business, the number 1 social business on Microsoft, without a doubt. But we're also the most integrated social business. We really care that we integrate into your day-to-day processes. It's not just about chatting about an event, it's about getting the work done. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that. The gentleman you see here is our CTO, so if you like the product, a big applause to Brian Kauner. He's actually so smart that sometimes I come with ideas and I believe this is the greatest thing ever, and I go home with questions. He's going to have an entire day on Thursday to walk you what's going to come up next in the product. But I want to talk a little bit about you and us. 50% of all of the more than 4,000 people who are on our platform for our customers and partners called Engage, 50% of you are active users. So compare this with your own installation and you get a sense how awesome that is. But even in the last year, we increased the number of activities there by 62%. So we have more than 60% more active users on this platform. So if you're not on the platform yet, make sure you log on. Make sure you engage with people there. You can find wonderful people. We had a conversation the other day about adoption. And there was a guy from JP Morgan, there was a guy from Credit Suisse, and one had the issue that senior management needed a little bit of encouragement, and they figured it out together without our help. This is the kind of thing you gain from being on Engage. But what Brian likes the most here is because she loves the idea of like really getting something meaningful out of social. The number of answers have increased more than 100%. So from last year to this year, the chances to get an answer for something that you want to learn more about increased by more than 100%. So I hope that everybody is going to be engaged after this event and taking the time there. Fill out your profile, make yourself visible, have the ask me about tagging right so people can find you. It's an awesome environment. I'll be there too, so if you direct message me there, there's a good likelihood I'm going to answer. Sometimes it takes a day or two because I'm on the road, but since I have the new mobile app up and running, I'm going to be much faster now. So let's talk a little bit about the market. And before I do this, I need to tell you a story of social. When I came on board, it was announced as typical CEO taking over announcements. And there was a gentleman called Mike Brown who sent me a tweet and said, "Congrats to the new job." I said, "Who the hell is Mike Brown?" Okay, so Mike Brown works for JP Morgan Chase. And we became friends over time, and I visited his office, and we had a great conversation. And so he introduced me to a couple of people. We had nice sessions. And today, the CMO of JP Morgan Chase is going to be on stage, going to discuss about social. And this is a story how you gain real value of being out there every day. Because I would have not found Catherine on my own. I could have looked her up somewhere and then writing a lot of nice sales emails saying, "Hey, you know, we need to talk." But it was about the network and the relationships that led us to connect. And today, we have wonderful conversations, and I'm going to share more about that. So I don't not want to ruin this for you now, but this is a great story. And so, if you're running a financial institution, and you wonder, will I ever gain some return on my investment? And the fact is, recent studies tell you that you can gain as an industry more than $420 billion by applying social technologies. Just to put it in context, that is 70% of the margin that all of those banks are doing today. So you can increase your margin by 70% by doing something you have to do anyway. So next time your CFO gives you a hard time saying, "Yeah, you know, do we really need this?" Well, you need it because it makes money. And that's important. It is all about making us more productive so we can get more done. And that is translating into sustainable businesses that create new jobs, that create wealth to us, to our families, to our country. Looking into a market that has done social a lot. Consumer good, branded companies, they do social on the public space every day. So Brigitte Wolf was about to join us today, but she unfortunately had to call in sick. She had a really bad cold, just like I had last week. So you can't be here, but she is a strong believer in social. And when you're looking at that, you can create a 36% more, or actually you cut 36% from your customer communication and customer service expenses by using social technologies. So think about that. You're doing a better job to your customers, and it costs you less money, so you can create better products. You can create more products. So it's not about cost reduction. It is about cutting the unnecessary expense in an environment in which you want to talk to your customers. So this is something where you just put a thing in context. You can save $70 billion in this market by applying social technologies today. And this is not numbers I make up. Our friends from McKinsey have come up with this study, and it's public, so you can all download those reports and read it. It is part of this wonderful 180-page report. When we all were reading the executive summary and never dig deeper, I actually dig deeper, and I love that. So look out for that. And you see some names there. Those are wonderful names. Those are all our customers, of course. You see Kraft in the upper left-hand corner. I really want to go to their office and post Kraft being at Kraft. That's my thing I need to get done. So, services. We have Gloria here from Unisys, and she's going to give you some insight into social that are beyond belief. I had a conversation with her on the phone last week, and I said, you know, as you go in like feeling like an expert and you have a conversation, And then you saying like, how is it going to interview next week? And she is like, okay, this is my 8-step plan to improve social collaboration in the company. It's like, whew, so I was writing for an hour. That was my only question I got to ask in this 1-hour conversation. But I learned so much. So reach out to her. And what you see here is that, this is a people business. So, 14% improvement with collaboration sounds small. This is 300 billion for an industry. And what it does is us making better conversations, finding each other easier, talking to each other more focused. That's what it is. And if you're running a people business, there is no way you can survive without investing in social. It's simply not possible. And Gloria is going to underline this and go in more details. And then we have manufacturing. Manufacturing is actually a market that you would expect to be, benefiting the most from it because there's a lot of innovation going on. Those products that take forever, that like if you're building an airplane, we all know how wrong that could be if the battery is not working. So if you're working well together, you can avoid that, by talking to each other ahead of time. And EADS, which is the producer of the Airbus, is our customer. Actually, they became a customer just end of last year. And what they do is they take SharePoint 2013 as their platform, and they build their entire social environment on top of that. And they're rolling this out to 34 companies because this is a huge, huge business for them. And what is interesting here, this industry is so tight in margin that by applying social technologies, they are able to double their margins. That is an awesome opportunity. And if you're a CEO or CFO and you wonder how you can squeeze in another 10% margin, think about doubling your margin. So it gives you an idea where we're heading with this whole social revolution. It is way beyond the early days when we all tweeted and Facebooked and liked each other. This is just getting to know the technology and getting to know the behavior change. But when we're applying that in our job, we're going to be better at our job. So I just spoke a little bit about that EADS is building this on SharePoint 2013. And so I would like to take the opportunity to invite one of our friends from Microsoft. Christoph is here. He is the product manager for the social activities on SharePoint, and he's going to share a little bit of the insight where Microsoft is seeing this revolution going. And we're going to have a little chat upstairs here on stage, and he's going to be available after that. So if the answers are not crisp enough, poke him. Ask him all the questions. Christoph, come on. You take this. I wrote all the questions
very
down.
Formal.
I also have the answers. If you want, I can give you a copy.
Where's the Surface?
Yes, the Surface I had to give to the folks at the registration. And I have a Surface, actually.
Good.
I had one of the very early ones, and I need to get the Pro now. So I'm using the product. So maybe, Christoph, maybe you introduce yourself, give a little bit of background, where you're coming from, and what excites you about social.
So first of all, good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me to this event. Definitely a pleasure to be in Denver with a very sunny weather. Been at Microsoft for 11 years. I'm actually based in Seattle. I work on the Microsoft Office division, so to be more specific, on the SharePoint marketing team. You've probably seen some of my peers at the SharePoint conference last November, for instance, in Las Vegas at the SharePoint conference. And specifically, I focus on enterprise social. The way we're organized, we get different area of focus or workload around SharePoint. And we get BI, search, content management. And my area of focus is enterprise social. And that's about it for now.
Maybe share a little bit where you got this wonderful accent.
Thanks. Here's the tricky question. Born and raised in Europe. I've lived in the US, lived in Canada, but I come from France. That's actually where I started at Microsoft. I started in doing consulting at NCS, and then I wanted to get closer to the engineering team, try to see how we make products, and that's when I relocated to Seattle about 5 years ago.
So I think the audience really like to hear how you see the partnerships like NewsGator and Microsoft on the social space, and particularly how you're approaching the partner ecosystem in the social category.
So, I mean, first of all, proof in the pudding, the fact that all you guys are here, that looks like you almost outgrown the facility, is a testament to the success and the value that NewsGator brings or brought to you at your respective companies. Obviously, we've been in, one of the success of Microsoft in the enterprise has been fostering an ecosystem of partners, whether it's ISV, third-party solutions on our stack, or system integrators, that some of you were mentioned earlier, or just reseller of our technology. And that also is the same recipe for success in the enterprise social space.
So I saw you having a ton of tweets out there, so you're really living and breathing the social workspace. Maybe you give a little bit of an insight how you as a company see social and the importance for the future work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's definitely top of mind. So yeah, I tweet a lot. I guess in marketing, I think that's part of the core competencies to listen and engage. So, I've been on this journey of testing it out. Initially, I didn't know what was the value of Twitter, but definitely over time, I've matured, and I use it a lot actually to find out news, announcements, to see what the pulse is, what are people thinking, whether it's about our stack, whether it's about competitors. So I definitely use it a lot. I still think there's a lot of noise out there, and if it wasn't for hashtag, it'd be very hard to find nuggets in the sea of noise that potentially Twitter is. Back to the question on the enterprise social, I've actually been on the road for almost 3 weeks, traveling in Europe, traveling in Canada, and in the US. And I met customers large and small, all industries, manufacturing, financial sectors, public sectors, municipalities, large, small, and basically enterprise social is definitely top of mind, which is, how do we stay agile? How do we engage? How do we stay competitive? A lot of the customers I've talked to is, especially in Europe, where they have potentially large generation that are going to be retiring. How do we do knowledge transfer to the new generation? How do we become an attractive company for those young recruits that are going to be joining the workforce? And then, how do we bridge that potentially the generation gap within? So again, I've seen it everywhere. For Microsoft, it's definitely top of mind. We've made significant investments, especially with the new wave of products, including SharePoint 2013. So we're definitely committed to enterprise social. And yeah.
So I understand that you're going to present on Thursday a little bit more deeper, also together with Brian, about on the technology. Maybe you give a little sneak peek on what the products are you're currently working on. I know you're working on Office 365 and you're working on some of the really cool stuff. Give a little bit of an insight. How is this going so far?
Yeah, so stepping back, last week was definitely exciting week for us, where we delivered a couple milestones on our enterprise social journey. The first one is last Tuesday, for instance, with the new version of CRM Online, so our Microsoft Business Division, that is our ERP offering, CRM. Last week, the new version of CRM Online shipped with out-of-the-box integration with Yammer to power all the conversations. So let's say I get a sales lead, let's say I'm a sales manager for, let's say, the mountain region, and I can directly have a conversation, see what people are doing on my team directly within my CRM Online user interface. So that's one thing we shipped last week. I shouldn't say shipped in an online world. And then the other thing that was big for us for the Microsoft Office division is stepping back. Last November, that's when we shipped on-premises the new version of SharePoint, the new version of Exchange, the new version of Office, et cetera, et cetera. And last week, last Wednesday to be precise, is when we officially announced the commercial availability of our services. And this is a big release for us because we're actually leading with services. Not only we have a new version of all the engines, all the cylinders that make our suite of enterprise products, whether it's a new Exchange, new Link, new project, even a new project online, new SharePoint, et cetera, et cetera. And last week, last Wednesday is when we made it commercially available. So, I mean, a lot of you have large enterprise customers, so you can probably get that as part of your enterprise agreement. But also, that's also the mid-market, or some of you, you can swipe your card and buy the new stack of products and services that we have to offer.
So we're collecting your credit cards when you leave in the room, so we swipe
your card, yeah.
So when we're talking about social, we're talking a lot about this big picture where we want to go. And then there's this nasty reality that we are not there yet. So what are the biggest obstacles you see when you're having those conversations with customers out there?
I think we can be spending a lot of time on this. No, it's funny to travel internationally and meet people from different industries, because I'm trying to look for a pattern and I've yet to find one. But typically the 4 key factors for success, and then I can try to answer the question, is obviously you need a vision, right? It's not like you're going to wake up and say, maybe CMO or IT or sales, let's just be social. So that's the first thing. The next thing is obviously you need executive sponsorship, and more importantly, participation. That's also some of the best practice that we're using to adopt it within at Microsoft. And then the next thing is you need to integrate with your line of business app, right? It's not just social as a silo. Let's just exchange questions and hashtags. Maybe that works, but you really got to connect that to potentially your ERP, your CRM, your ticketing system, whatever it is. So you get that exchange of information, and it's not just social for the sake of being social, but it's really connected to specific outcomes that are driven by those ever line of business apps you get within your organization. And then the fourth one is communities. That was mentioned earlier. You got to cherish the communities. And again, I'm probably preaching to the choir, whether it's sending people for training, whether it's rewarding folks, but it doesn't just magically happen overnight, and you got to nourish those, and potentially, you start with a team. Is it the CMO? Is it the sales team? Is it the R&D team that potentially has that affinity to be social, and once you get one win, then you expand. So typically, back to your question, where I see people having challenges is, people are lacking either one of those 4 or all 4, and so that's one thing. And then the other thing is culture is king for social. And the notion of being open is definitely a challenge for management, regardless of the industry. And, it's a journey, but I think people are seeing the value. And the interesting thing is, if one person might be resisting, in another part of the company, typically comms team, the communications team, or marketing team that are very focused on outbound engagement, typically are more apt to adapt social, even though, that's not the unique department that might be the best one to adapt. So back to your question, typically, culture is definitely could be a challenge. And again, I've been traveling internationally, and I was trying to see, what's the difference between Europe and the US on what's going on in Asia Pacific. And I've yet to find a pattern. I've always found a counterexample, whether it's manufacturing and sizes as well.
So when you're looking at our industry and you're looking at the great innovations you're working on, what's the message you want to send to the folks here? What they should look out? What's the thing you're passionate about and they should understand that so they can align?
I think, again, I'm probably preaching to the choir because you're here in Denver, but, continue to be social. I do definitely agree that it's going to be a very exciting time going forward, as social becomes the new norm, as things start going from one department to another. And obviously, you probably all know this, but, the power of the network grows exponentially as you have more users within the company. So, go back to your respective day jobs and try to convince the naysayers or those teams that are pushing back. But as Daniel said, I definitely think that time is a very exciting time in the industry, exciting time for all of us. So keep being social.
Wonderful. Christoph is going to be here for a while, so if you want to have some time with him, just find our folks out there at the registration and they hook you up with him. You can have all your questions there. And thanks a lot to have you here, and looking forward to building great solutions together with you guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks you.
Thanks, Daniel.
And those is everything I wrote down, so it's not much. He didn't answer any question the way I asked him to answer. I wrote down that he says we're going to stop doing social and we outsourced it all to NewsGator because we do this so much better. No, we are friends, and we have a long history with our friends from Microsoft. Actually, many of our folks have even worked for Microsoft sometime in the past, and you would not believe what kind of collaboration is going on. We just spoke earlier before this event started about our activities we're doing on Azure and getting applications out there on the Azure platform. So there's an amazing stuff going on, and I really encourage you to, poke us about that, reaching out, because, the future of social is all about integrating. So you want to be part of a strong ecosystem, and there is no better ecosystem right now than Microsoft. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, the naysayer, the people who yet need to be convinced. We had them in the past. And I would like to share a little bit about the story of those people who did not recognize when something is changing. So I'm going to take you on a journey. I have given similar presentations in the past about the evolution of work. And so we looked at what's going on, and we see something that we call the survival of the social. So it might be a little bit high fly, but I'm telling you, remember that presentation, because it's going to hit you 10 years from now when you can say, I was part of that. When you're looking at the networks, there was a network of hands during the Industrial Revolution. What happened is people that worked individually discovered that with the steam engine and mass production, if you're connecting all those people, you're overcoming the physical capabilities, the physical limitations of your body. None of us could build a car, right? It would take a while. But Ford made it possible to overcome our individual physical limitations and put us all together as a network of hands into a manufacturing line, and we were able to build something like a car. And you see this still today, that if we allowing us to work together, we're going to achieve so much more. The people at the time didn't realize that. They considered that really painful, because just imagine you're living out there on your farm and now you need to make a living by moving to the city. It was a tough environment. You didn't see the benefit of that. Working conditions were harsh. And then years later, we look at this now and we call it the Industrial Revolution as something wonderful. Look at your clothes. Look at your shoes. If that would be done by the store around the corner, none of us would be sitting here because we couldn't afford clothes. So there is something that is gigantic in terms of human productivity that happened during that time. But the people who resisted and said, we don't need this, we do it the old way, they do not exist anymore. So there was a time when the network of hands took over the individual work that each of us did individually and replaced that with a network approach. And everybody who didn't follow died. Business gone. There is no handmade cars today. There is a few, but they are for the 1%. They're not for us. So Ford made this statement that he wants everybody to get paid in a way you can afford a car, but that was only possible by improving human productivity to a level that we could all afford a car. That's a major milestone in human society. So we see a similar movement right now. Right now we see what I call the network of minds. So when we all do those wonderful presentations and we have those rollout plans and we have our ROI calculations, this is all built on generations before building products like Excel. The fact that you have the computing power to have a just-in-time manufacturing line, that is because we have a network of minds that gets supported by computers today. So we overcame the limitations of our brain to calculate it all ourselves. And it was something that led to a human productivity gain beyond belief. So what you still see today is a major shift in the workforce. Now you say, of course I do this. I have my iPad, I have my iPhone, I I have all of that. I was working in banking during, that time, around the, 88, 90, 92, dot-com boom and everything. And when there was a little change, credit applications were suddenly done in Word, not handwritten. You can't believe it. We were handwriting credit applications and then calculating, and then we were saying, please, boss, approve this. And then we had this new headquarters system where you're typing it all in, and you got a credit rating from headquarters that's saying, not approved. So like in the old days, bank director went there saying, I know this guy is good for the money. Well, in most cases, the guy was right. In many cases, he was not. So what happened is, all of those resisted, saying, I don't need this. I can calculate this in my head. I have a good feeling about it. I don't need a word processor. I can do this on my typewriter, or in most cases, I have an assistant that does that for me. All of those people are gone. Their jobs are not pushed somewhere. They're completely gone. This job does not exist anymore. So there was this network of minds where we decided it is smarter to have a bunch of experts in the headquarters calculating that for us, so we could spend more time with customers out in the branches of this bank. And some people didn't agree with that, and they're all gone. But today, we are able to give a much more accurate assessment of the credit rating. And so we got better. And you can look at any business right now. If you do not participate with this network of minds, with people working together, you're going to be out of business. Just as this entire management layer that I was reporting to during my banking days. The career I made in banking was only possible because it was not necessary to work 30 years in a bank before you got promoted to a director. Why? Because those who were faster got promoted, not those who were sitting the longest in the seat. And this is what the network of mind did for us, because for the first time, being smart in using it was more important than controlling it. And that is a major, major shift, and we saw a major spike in productivity during those times. And it's still going on. When you're looking at what the Japanese have done to the American automotive industry, it's a combination of that. It is the network of hands put into a very efficient system, and the network of minds with the enormous computing power making just-in-time production possible. So when you look, we take this for granted, right? Just-in-time production. When you order a car today, and you choose which version you want, the very same second, the brakes company that does the brakes for this car gets a signal that you ordered the car, and in 3 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time, this brake needs to be delivered to the assembly line. Why is that possible? Because we don't do this all in our head anymore. We're building on a collective intelligence. And when you're looking at education, same thing. You can be a rocket scientist, not because you invented all of it, but you were smart in using modern technology to learn about it. And so we're moving into a phase right now where we're going to see a similar revolution. And I call that the network of hearts. And my salespeople give me a tough time. They say, you can't go out there and say it's a network of hearts. You know, it sounds all soft. I want RI. Yeah, I'm going to give you RI. You know, look at the $423 billion that can be saved in the financial industry. Look at the 100% margin improvements you're going to make in the manufacturing industries by using social technologies. But what I'm trying to say here is, for the first time, our emotions are not limited to our physical location. So in your office, people know you, whether you're a morning person or not, right? They make a big, circle around you in the morning until you have your first coffee, right? They know you. Oh dear, if they sent you an email in the morning, you fire back like never before. Now, social networks give you the opportunity to read people's, emotions just like that. But when I talked about that yesterday, one of our, team members said, Daniel, social is so much more. And he had this wonderful analogy. Tom actually had this wonderful analogy. He said, the digital revolution gave us the possibility to find the assets. So in a digital world, we can now find this document. This is what SharePoint made famous. You can finally find documents across the entire company. You find this right presentation, you find this fact sheet. What social is doing, it is going to make you find the individual. And you can connect with a person that wrote this asset, that wrote the research report. So when I was meeting Catherine at JP Morgan, she had this comment saying, we have so many great assets and we can't find them. We do so much great work, but people don't see this. So we go one step further. You find the author of this great research, and then you can sense what the person thought when they wrote this. So sometimes you say, I don't want to know what people think and feel. I want just the asset. That's fine. But if you're in a tough situation, head-to-head competing, you want to know how those people thought, what they thought when they did that. Because there's this little 20% extra you're getting out of knowing who did this. And so when you're looking at those networks, there's one thing to take home. The network always wins. If you don't believe in that, that's fine. If you have an early retirement plan, perfect. Do this. But I guarantee you, if you don't embrace that, you're going to be out of a job. And most likely your boss too. So next time when you talk there and you tell them that he or she will soon be out of the job, maybe you call me and we have this together and then we have a good conversation, because that's clearly the message. The survival of the social. If you don't do it, you will be out of business. So how is this working? The thing is, all of our life will be digital, period. I know. The first thing I get is, I like the face-to-face meeting. I like it too. But if I have to choose to wait 2 weeks to talk to my kids, or I have a Skype call with them tonight, I pick the Skype call all the time. Face-to-face is wonderful. It's a wonderful statement. I like it too, but I like my kids better. And I want to have a conversation with them every day, and not just when I come home after 2 weeks on the road. So when I have a conversation with my team, it is always video conferencing. Oh, I'm telling you, my folks are so uncomfortable with that. Oh, I'm telling you, we have invested in new cameras. We invested in, offices looking nicer behind the camera. People coming nicely dressed from here upwards. So, but it's more. When you're looking at this, people who are engaged with the business, where they have an emotional connection to the business, they are 200% more innovative than the others. So those emotions don't look too fluffy anymore, right? If you're inventing products. When you're looking at it, 80%, 87% of people that are engaged with the business are less likely to leave the company. Do you know how much recruiting costs? So we just lost our head of HR. She's actually continued to work with us, but she is picking time with the family. So we, of course, encourage her to do this and still support us, but we need to find a new head of HR. If you love our company, by the way, great opportunity. Too bad we don't hire from our customers. So find a friend who arranges that in an alley, somewhere behind where nobody sees. My point here is, it costs you between $30,000 and $60,000 to get a good VP on board. So if you have your good people to not resign because they believe in your cause, you're saving 80 grand, 60 grand all the time. And do this, when you're looking at the number of VPs you have in the company, you multiply it with 60 grand, there's a lot of social sites you can buy with that money, I'm telling you. So when you're looking at also the commitment people put into the business, when they believe in your company, in your cause, they're going to fundamentally put more effort. They're working harder. And you see the number here, and I can give you the report. Think about it. Almost 80% working harder. I mean, you have great companies. I met almost 50 of you over the course of the last 6 months, and you do amazing products. Really awesome. Just imagine what you can do if they work 80% harder. I mean, maybe they work so hard because they're using social sites, but my point here is, social is not about, oh, how nice. Social is about human productivity. And social is about making you a better company. And we are here to help you to become an even better company. And many of you I have met, you have awesome businesses. So I really like what you do. I mean, I met people from finance, I met people from consumer goods. I still have my big box from Mars with all the candies in my office, and it doesn't get empty because it's such a big box they gave me. But I'm telling you, I even took a picture and sent it home, saying, "Look what I got here with the two big M&Ms on top of it." This is what you guys do. You change our world, and we want you to have more free time to do that. Just to put things in context, we had those stats earlier with the 35, 36%. So if we're improving productivity by 20%, you all get Fridays off. Who doesn't want to have Fridays off? You see, so why don't we do this? This is what we need to do. Become more productive so we can spend Fridays coming up with wonderful new colors of M&Ms with new tastes and have more fun with that. So I know it's a little bit high fly. Take the slides for what they are and continue to have conversations. And if you feel that your leadership team is kind of struggling to embrace that and understand that, call me. I'm going to be in your city anytime you want me. I gave presentations to manufacturing companies, to candy companies, to banks, to any sort of business. And give me 1 hour and you have a committed executive team who is embracing that. I guarantee you that. With that, we're moving into the final stretch of this presentation. And since we now know we need to do this, we know we need to do this. So you go home and tell your boss, you will be fired if you don't do this. Well, then you might look for a job, and we are growing, so that might be a synergy for us. But maybe you want to go back with a little bit more pragmatic feedback. How are we going to make this happen? So I have 4 proposals for you. 4 awesome ways of doing that. And you can take them home, you can try them here, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love them. First, empower your people is #1 priority. Get your people empowered to do the job better. And one thing we have learned is it needs to be all human-centric. So internally, we use the term human-centric as a key differentiator for our business. And Walker, who was on stage here, he has the mandate to make it happen. So if you feel we're not doing this well, find Walker, and he will do it well. He is committed to do this. We have Nick here, who is the key developer behind many of our apps, and so we have the real people here. But when we're talking about people, look at the people all there in the back. You know, those are all NewsGator employees, and they do nothing else every day working on stuff to make you more productive. So find the opportunity to reach out to those folks and have conversations. You see some of the stuff here. This is not from the internet. The pictures there, those are real applications. So today, actually a few days back, but we have a new iPhone app, a new Android app, and we have a new Windows Phone app for you. And for those of you who cannot get rid of their BlackBerry, we have an HTML5 app for you. But we're really proud to be one of the very first companies on this planet who have a really cool working social application on the Windows Phone. It is really a game changer. See it in the usability lab because it is awesome. iPhone, Android works well, but we had this for a while. But when the new Windows Phone came out, we said this is something we need to be on top of. We have a Windows 8 for the tablet. I have this running on my Surface. I have it running on my computer. This is awesome stuff. So now you're saying, how do I get budget for that? You don't need budget. It's for free. We want you all to use it. And therefore, we're not charging for any mobile activities. We're going to give that for free, so there is no more excuse. If you come back to me and tell me, I didn't, no excuses anymore. Empower your people, and if you don't have the ability internally, you get your system ready and it takes a little bit while, then at least connect to engage. This is working today. Okay? So if you have an Engage account, if you don't, we get you one. Get the mobile app and go and engage and post away. Find the people that build those awesome products. But there is one more cool thing, but I come to this in a minute. So now we are all mobile, we're chatting away, we're posting on Engage, we love this, but where do we get the productivity? We thought about that. And Christoph was alluding to this earlier, that with the integration on CRM systems. We go a step further. We are going to integrate your entire ecosystem. So we have a long-standing history integrating Microsoft. There's nobody on this planet who's better in integrating Microsoft than we are, because we love that. We started a company with that. But there are other systems out there, maybe not so good, but there are systems out there. And I spoke to many of you, and you have told me, wouldn't it be cool if I get a couple of SAP objects to participate? Like the HR stuff, having aggregated profiles. We showed a prototype at the SharePoint conference last year, and we're working really hard to get this productive for you. So if you want to be a prototype customer, an early customer on that, let me know, or better let Brian know and Melissa know that you want to be part of that. Oracle, we're integrating with PeopleSoft. We have 8 customers of you who want us to integrate PeopleSoft HR. So just imagine you have all those wonderful information sitting in your HR system, participating in the conversation on the activity stream. Suddenly, it's not about you posting something. It is going back. Just think about the badges you earn leading to a race based on achievements documented in your HR system. That's the kind of stuff we're working on. Salesforce integration is done. You can have it already. Chatter is working. You can do more. Absolutely happy to work with you on that. And there's this little thing there on the right side. It demonstrates a cloud. So with the new mobile applications, you're getting the magical tunnel of Lane. It is named after our famous developer Lane, who is in the room back there, and he absolutely hates it if I call him out like that. So therefore, he will not stand up, but he's waving. Thanks, Lane. It's not just Lane, but it's a team around him. And they made it possible that you can do mobile without VPN, but with the same security. And so what it does, it gives you ability to move some of the stuff that you currently have on-premise and also move the capabilities into the cloud. So suddenly you can have internal IT be still happy for the stuff they want to keep control of, but you can have certain capabilities, for example, talent management moving into the cloud. So we're syncing your LinkedIn profile with your HR profile, with your activity stream, and then the Ask Me About button, it's going to be more powerful, because it's not going to be about what you have achieved at the company you're working right now. It's going to be based on what you achieved in your life. You have 20 years of experience, you're moving to a new job, and you're going to be reduced by 1 year of things you have said in this company? No, right? You have 20 years of experience. You would like this to participate. So why don't we suck all the LinkedIn information and have this being the trigger for recommendations? This is really cool stuff. It's way above me to explain what it does. But Lane is here, and the team is here. So when you're going to the hackathon that's taking place here, they can build some cool stuff for you on the fly. So think about it. Is there an app you would like to have? Find them. They build it here on site. You can test it and play around with that. How cool is that? So leverage your ecosystem. And one reason why I'm poking so a lot on this is you have spent billions of dollars in that ecosystem. Every player that's mentioned down there does more revenues per quarter than all of the social vendors doing collectively per year. So this is where the money is. This is where a CIO spent all the money in the last 20 years. So let's leverage that, not reinventing it. And if there's one thing you should take home from this slide is, social is not isolated. Social is fully integrated into your business. If it is not, it needs to be. And we are the ones who are working on the bridge between the business and your social activity. But I know sometimes those ideas are wonderful, and then you say, oh my God. how do I get this done? Do I build this from scratch and do all the IT stuff? So what we have decided is very simple. We're going to do this for you. So what we are announcing today is that we are building solutions on the social sites platform that are ready to use for you for a specific use case. And we're not going to build something just for the sake of fun and building it. We're taking the most popular use cases and turn them into turnkey solutions, so you don't have to worry about that. The one that's going to be available earliest is corporate communication. So you're posting something from the CEO, and you have this great message, and you have no idea if ever somebody's going to reading it. So what is the CEO saying? Well, man, better send an email to everybody and force it down the throat. They're not going to read it anyway, because the people who don't read it on the social platform is also not going to read it on email. It's just you feel better. What we do for you, though, is now, when you're posting it, we can analyze who has read it, on which device they have been reading it, how many people did you reach, which departments are more open to that than others. Then you get a sense of where the communication is working and where not. And you would be surprised to see how much of CorpCom is not reaching anybody. Believe me, there was this one company, I'm not going to mention the name because they're an awesome client, but they had like thousands of posts per day. And it's like, okay, so if thousands of posts coming to me, there's no way I can communicate, I can consume that. But now with the CorpCom solution, you're going to be able to see which one of those are sticking. And this is something that's super important. We're going to go with the next step is field enablement. So you have those super smart but also very expensive people out there in the field doing the job for you. They're selling, they're repairing stuff, they're maintaining stuff out there. You have no idea what they're really doing because they're on their own. The biggest issue we had in our own company is getting sales using our own mobile applications. So all but one individual is using it, and he knows that, and we're gonna make him feel this every day. I'm not pointing to anybody at the wall back there. So if you want to complain about a person not drinking the Kool-Aid, go to Tony. To his defense, he broke his phone. So we're going to fix this, and then it comes with a big button, a sales ready button. There's only one button on the phone. There's only one single button. If you don't click it, you can't use the phone. No, seriously. The issue is people out in the field are fundamentally different than office people. They don't have the time on activity streams and all this wonderful stuff. Big screen, I have a 27-inch screen with 7 columns next to each other and a monitor, all of that. That's all wonderful. But when I'm out there on an airport, I take my phone out and it takes me like 20 seconds to answer 3-4 things and then back checking in on the flight. And your service technicians out there, your salespeople out there, the people that represent you out there in the field, they need things differently. And this is what we're going to do with the field enablement a solution that is currently in the building. And we still are open to volunteers to participate in that. We already have a few, but if you would like to be part of that, find Melissa over there. She runs this team, and her life depends on making this work. So she is super motivated, no pressure, all family, but she better get this done. No, Melissa has done an awesome job with the CorpCom solution, and actually they gave me some very nice screenshots, and I like them so much. You should see them in the experience lounge. So you see how this whole analytics works. It's fascinating. Go out there. So innovation solution is in the pipeline as well. We want to make your people more productive by finding more ideas. And there are 2 ways to do this, to make R&D people more productive, but also include the entire organization. So that is something that is really difficult to do because developers don't like, work in social because they code. So, once in a while they look up, post something, and then they work better. So what we did is, for example, there was the request for a game room. So interesting enough, social, developers have interesting requests. So they want to have a game room. So I said, sure, why not? So Dan is here who requested the game room. And he did a lot of research, and we discussed it on our own social network. We had everybody participating, and suddenly we came up with a game room, and I played yesterday, first time, losing miserably, but I was at least trying. The point is, you don't know what your people really want. You can try as hard as you want. There are pockets in your organization that have just a different culture. And we want to capture that. And we want to allow that you have a solution for them that is tuned for them. So they participate in that. And that's what the innovation is all about. So this is the furthest out. So we're still working on the specs. If you want to be part of that, we're welcome to do this. Join us in this effort. This is all about us making this together. Nothing we do here is targeted to have something us coming up with. It is taking your use cases and make them work easier. That's what it's all about. So there's one last thing, one nasty thing we need to talk about. Adoption is lagging behind all the investments you have made. So we can talk about wonderful solutions. We can give you mobile applications. We can give you everything you want. At the end, we need to reach the people. So some 2-3 months back, I posted on Engage. By now, you're all on Engage, right? I posted on Engage a question, who is a true believer in social and who wants to work with me on the next generation of products and how social is working? So about 20 people came back and they said, sure, like it, want to be part of that. It's like when Walker asks you if you ask about, and then he comes down to you and asks you a question. It's like, I should not have done that. I should not have raised my hand. Those people who raised their hand, we invited to work together on a framework which we called Adoption Framework. And we said, let's put aside our commercial interest as a vendor and see how we can drive adoption. So we teamed up with a bunch of partners, with a bunch of customers, a few people from us, and we worked together on a framework that is taking you from the strategic groundwork to all of back to the measurement. So it includes technology enablement, it includes the people engagement, and it also includes the business alignment. So we're taking a big picture approach and saying, how do we get social to become real? Because that's what we really care for. So you find this framework, there's an entire presentation set taking place tomorrow. We have an adoption panel tomorrow, to learning from those who have been successful and have good ideas. But this is not us doing it. This is us doing it together. So you can be part of that. You can shape this. We don't even make any money with that because most of the stuff there needs to be done by you. But we're helping to get all of your great minds working together so you don't have to fight for yourself all the time, company by company, budget by budget. We can do this all together in making social real. And with that, there's one thing you should take home from this whole event here. It is all about we make social real. And it is not as easy as you think. Sometimes you have all the capabilities, but you can't reach your goal. There's somebody left and right who can help you. And we are really happy here to be the one on the one side and one of you being on the other side and helping somebody to get up to the level so you can reach your goal. So when there's one thing you should take home from this event, we are committed to make social real. We have made the investments, we have the mobile capabilities there, we have the technical capabilities there, we have solutions that make it easy for you, and we have an entire framework that makes adoption as painless as possible. So, for what it's worth, I really want you to all connect and take at least 5 new friends home from this event. Don't just stick to the people left and right that you know already. You know, I know that some of you came with a big crowd. Chicago is here, you know. Make sure, Chicago, my family lives just north of Chicago. So, I know how painful it is to be a Cubs fan. So sometimes sticking together is necessary. You know, you're feeling lost after so many, almost 102 years, 103 years now. So it's painful, but we're sticking together, you know. But the point is, make friends. Make 5 friends. 5 friends that you have not knew when you came to this event. Because this is what social is about. It is about making it happen together. And that's what we are committed to. And I know from the many conversations you and I had that you're committed to do the same. So with this, there's way more. And I'll leave this slide for Walker to give you some more insight. But believe me, the agenda for this event is huge. There's so much value for you. Okay? So make sure you have more than just coffee and lunches and conversations and listening to keynotes. Make sure you engage in. There's the hackathon out there. There's the usability lab out there. There is, we call it the experience lounge. But you also can have a one-on-one conversation with some of our gurus. I mean, there are some really smart people here. So take advantage of that. And with that, I hope you enjoy the event. I thank you very much for listening to me for such a long time. And as I said earlier, I believe in that. And if there is somebody in your organization who doesn't believe, you have 2 choices. You wait for them to retire, or you call me and we convince them. So let's do this together. Enjoy the event.